Here we are, friends. Here we go. Just after high noon, may I be the first to say a good afternoon to you and yours. My name is Matt Murphy, and we've got 3 hours together today. We call it the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WT. And allow me, if you will, to get the pleasantries out of the way. We'll get everything lumbering under its own weight. It's episode number 399 for you and me together on these airwaves. It is Tuesday, August 15, middle of the month. Hey, it's payday, Bell. I don't know if you noticed.
I'm not here for money, man. Don't bring that up to me.
Well, that's a good thing because I know what you get. I don't actually know what you get paid, but I can only assume what you get paid. And if it's less than what I get paid, then I know you're not here for the money.
I'm here for the love of radio.
Well, I love you and you love me, and we're a happy family on this Tuesday edition of the Matt Murphy Show. 615-737-9986 is our telephone number if you'd like to be a part of the show. You're always invited. I always invite you on the phone lines. I love engaging, even when we have Conspiracy Theory Mondays, which is what went down yesterday. And we didn't even try to do it. But we got into some deep conspiracies on what's going on in Maui with the wildfires. We now have Donald Trump speaking out regarding the wildfires in Hawaii. You have another former president, Barack Obama, speaking out on what's going on in the wildfires with the wildfires in Hawaii. I don't agree with Barack Obama's politics. And for the first 30 seconds I'll play you the clip in just a moment. And, you know, for the minute and 45 seconds that he talked about the wildfires happening in Hawaii, you know, the first 40 or 45 seconds of it, he was talking about himself. But what would you expect, after all? But at least he said something. Still no comment from the current president of the United States of America. People are dead. It's the worst wildfire catastrophe in over a century. And the president of the United States has chosen to communicate via his press secretary and, you know, a series of tweets that he does not engage in. I mean, no one believes that Joe Biden's up in the residency of the White House popping out the tweets, right? No? I don't think so. In the meantime, it is an absolute disaster what's going on in Hawaii. Regardless of how you thought or think the wildfires started, the result is a lot of death and destruction, and there is more to come. Sadly, we are hearing horror stories about individuals trying to get away from the wildfires. I read a number of stories last night, and these are anecdotal stories, or at least they're eyewitness accounts that have been unconfirmed by others, and I just want to make sure I say that. But yet still, these are horrible, horrific stories of individuals attempting to save their own lives, parents who cannot get back to their kids, you know, kids left at home because schools shut down due to the nature of the wildfires, and then parents go off to school or go to the grocery store or whatnot, can't get back to their homes, and their kids are left to fend for themselves, not knowing what to do. I mean, these types of stories, the utter devastation and destruction that's going on, it's hard to fathom. It's hard to understand. And I've been through some natural disasters in the past. Most of us, if you live long enough on this earth, you go through an occasional tornado. You go through a hurricane. Maybe you know of a fire situation that has happened or have gone through one yourself. And then you see this, and you get down on your knees and you pray for the people affected, and you pray for our country and that God will show blessings on the United States of America. Speaking of a disaster of a man-made origin, last evening, as a matter of fact. So the wife is out of town. I'm batching it. I got the 3 dogs. I'm settling in. I'm about to go to bed, and I happen to have on Fox News. And there's Sean. I don't really watch Sean Hannity. I don't watch a lot of Fox News outside of Gutfeld anymore. I do watch Gutfeld. I appreciate the fact that he moved back an hour so I can watch him before bed because the 10 o'clock hour was, you know, it's a little too late for a middle-aged man. But normally I tune in for Gutfeld. So I flipped over at 9 o'clock to watch Greg Gutfeld on Fox News, and there was no Greg Gutfeld. It was Sean Hannity, and I'm like, well, what's going on here? Oh, we've got breaking news out of Georgia, an indictment coming down. At 11 o'clock at night? Yeah, at 11 o'clock at night. They're working late, working double time. Of course, the actual indictment came before the grand jury voted on the indictment. I hope that makes a lot of sense for you. Earlier in the day, the Fulton County District Attorney allowed for the release on their official website of the indictment. And we saw some of the charges against Donald Trump and others. And then they pulled it back down and said, oh, no, that wasn't the indictment. That's a fake. That's a phony. You don't believe that. That's as phony as COVID-19. Oops. That's as phony as the 2020 election. Oop. That's about as valid as a bunch of ballots in Stacey Abrams' office. Oop. Governor Stacey Abrams to me and you. No, they said it was phony, and then they come out with the actual deal, and it's the same thing. And supposedly a vote happened between one and the other. Look, the fix was in on this. Once again, grand juries oftentimes, the concept of the grand jury and the concept of an indictment is lost on a lot of people. And I'm not saying you, because you're the smartest listeners on planet Earth on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. But for the vast majority of the United States of America, sadly, our educational system is such that they don't have any idea about a grand jury and what can and cannot be presented and who does and does not have the opportunity to offer any defense. It is the prosecution that runs the grand jury. There's not really any judge. The prosecution runs the proceedings. They present only their side of the story. The defense is not allowed to present their side of the story. They're not allowed to cross-examine people. They're not allowed to mount any sort of defense whatsoever, and you don't have to have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt to bring something like this to trial. All right, that's one thing, and that's just broadly in any criminal grand jury. Secondarily, this is, after reading it into the night last night, I became just enamored with the whole concept that Donald Trump has now been indicted 4 separate times. The chief rival of the sitting president of the United States of America has been indicted 4 times and is expected to mount 4 separate defenses in 4 separate jurisdictions, one in Manhattan with that phony baloney DA Bragg, one state, that's federal, one state charges in Georgia, I guess, yeah, and then D.C. and Mar-a-Lago. So there you go. Proceedings begin in January, and through the election process, Donald Trump is expected to defend himself, and we believe that we're going to have a free and fair election in 2024. Thankfully, this only serves to embolden Donald Trump and his supporters. I'm curious if this changes anything for you or if you have anything to say about it. 615-737-9986. First hour open phones on the subject, then I'm going to close them down and move on to other things because I don't want to belabor the point. And I think much of it has already been said. The political left is determined, and it's not about Donald Trump, friends. I know they want you to believe it. I know that it is Trump derangement. I know that Donald Trump has become a symbol of government deep state and the swamp. This is to send a message to every other conservative in the United States of America. This is to send a message that anyone challenging the power of the bureaucracy and the deep state and the Department of Justice, the power of the political left, anyone will be destroyed. They will come after you. They will use the same corrupt Department of Justice against you because you had the audacity to point out that the Department of Justice is corrupt. I mean, after all, what Donald Trump did was ask questions. What's going on in Georgia? Are there vote collection boxes in Georgia that have been corrupted? Are there voters in Georgia that ought not to be voting? What's going on with these boxes underneath tables and whatnot in Georgia? We're asking questions. We want to make sure that we're having free and fair elections in the United States of America. And for that, he has been criminally charged under a RICO statute. You have to laugh to keep from crying. A RICO statute? A racketeering charge? They charged the man for telling people to watch TV. I'm not making that up. At one point, Donald Trump encouraged people to watch OAN because they were asking questions about election integrity in Georgia. So now we're not allowed. This is the new standard on the part of the Democrats, and this is where all of this is going, folks. They want to create a dynamic by which if you think the wrong thing, you fear criminal charges against you. If you say the wrong thing, you fear criminal charges against you. If you do the wrong thing, you fear criminal charges. They want you to fear the power of the state. This is not about democracy. That's baloney. Even by their standards, democracy worked, right? Joe Biden's the frickin' president of the United States, isn't he? No, that's not what this is about. This is about your fear that you're going to get out of line and say the wrong thing. This is about you looking to others, primarily the government, to tell you what is acceptable and not acceptable in terms of your thought, your speech, and your actions. The bottom line is this. They are presenting a standard by which, if you question the integrity of an election and you are wrong, you go to jail. Tell me I'm wrong. Explain to me how I don't have this nailed in one sentence. The political leftists, socialist, Democrats, whatever you want to call them, they are using the power of government agency to demand fealty to them when it comes to election integrity. When one political party controls all aspects of election integrity, by definition, you no longer have election integrity. And I challenge you to tell me where it's ever worked any other way. If one political group, one political dynamic controls all aspects of the integrity of an election, that election is no longer going to have integrity. It's going to get corrupted. Maybe not today, but soon. And the Democrats and their minions in the media are not suggesting, they're demanding of you that you accept that they call it correctly every time, and what they have said in the past should be of no consequence. You know, you understand, they don't see the hypocrisy. You know, and I know Hand was playing Hillary Clinton. Thank God he did, so I don't have to. Hand's playing Hillary Clinton from Maddow's show. But young fella just churning them out over there at MSNBC. So Maddow has Hand on, Hand has Maddow on, who had Hillary on, who, and all of them are talking about how, well, if you can't, you have to have trust in your integrity of the election process, and you can't question that. If you question that, then you're going to harm the democracy itself. This is the same old biddy that ran around for 2 years saying that she was the rightfully elected president of the United States. This latest indictment comes from the same state where Stacey Abrams ran around to anybody that would listen and whistled through her teeth that she was really the governor of the state of Georgia. And that Brian Kemp was an illegitimate government or governor. Yet now they want to preach to me about how questioning elections is the most American thing we can do. Ensuring election integrity is the most American thing that we can do. And now it might send people to jail unless we do something about it. Are you willing to do something about it? Are you willing to stand up and say no more? It occurred to me last night that, and I'm not trying to over-dramatize this, that this is the beginning of the end for us in this format. Tell me how I'm wrong. You know, we've always considered ourselves the electronic town square on talk radio, where people can come with differences of opinion. We can talk them out. We can agree to disagree. We can highlight or draw light to things that are in the shadows. And similarly, we can push away those things that are being highlighted by others that we believe are negatives to the United States of America and our future. But that concept is over when speech becomes criminalized on this level. If I cannot suggest to you that there were major legal problems in the election processes in Pennsylvania, regardless of what the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said, if I cannot explain to you some of the election irregularities in Arizona, regardless of what those courts have said, in America, I'm allowed to disagree with those courts. Even if I'm wrong, I'm allowed to disagree until yesterday. Until yesterday, where one district attorney, a leftist DA, a George Soros-funded DA, explained to us that if a group of people get together and talk about their doubts regarding election integrity, if a group of people communicate with one another about how they need to get the news out about election integrity and some of the malfeasance that they saw in Georgia, that group of people, they are guilty of racketeering. They're guilty of seditious conspiracy. And that those groups of people, political though they may be, must be jailed. As political opponents, as political descendants, as enemies of the state, I don't know, you tell me. I'm not here to lash you with a wet noodle, but I'm going to say it. When are we going to get sick of this crap? And do something about it. 1221 Supertalk 99.7 WT, and ask and ye shall receive. Marie and Jay and Joe all on the line, and I'm waiting to talk to you as well. 615-737-9986. Your calls coming up. I mentioned to you that I was heading down to the Dr. Gill Center yesterday, and I did just that in Franklin, a short drive from anywhere within the sound of my voice. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief does knees as well. We've been talking about that, and I had a little knee issue as a result of, a little pickleball injury, and I went down and I sat with Dr. Dominic. We talked about it. He examined me, bent my knee this way and that. Does it hurt? Does it hurt? Does it hurt? And we came to the conclusion that it was a soft tissue, like a strain or a sprain, and so I got some ultrasound therapy. I got some laser therapy. I'm going back next week to do the same. He told me to ice it up. I mean, the therapy and the treatment was tip top. And I love that you can get the same at the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. And yes, for knee pain relief as well. So many people think they're just a chiropractic center. They do so much more. They do the ultrasound. They do the Class 5 laser therapy and the red light therapy. They reduce swelling and accelerate healing as a result on those soft tissue elements in your body that might suffer strains or sprains. Give them a call today like I did, 615-882-4838. Schedule an appointment, 882-4838. It's the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. Nashville Painting Company wants to paint your home. Interior, exterior, deck staining, fence staining. They do it all at Nashville Painting Company. Brick lime washing, that's big. And Jeremy can take care of that as well. My experience with Jeremy Reeves goes back since the days of Birmingham. He was down in Birmingham painting houses. He painted my house, as a matter of fact. I absolutely loved the job he did. And so when I moved to Nashville, after he came to Nashville some years ago, I said, I want to do business again. And we have, and I love the way he does his business, right? He's not the most expensive guy around, but he does do the best quality job around. You can ask around, and oftentimes when you see the nicest painted house in your neighborhood, they'll tell you that it was painted by Nashville Painting Company. Go online to NashvillePaintingCompany.com and see some of the beautiful homes he's done. Interior work, exterior work, they'll get it done. Man, oh man, this week, I guarantee they'll be cranking out some exterior paint jobs thanks to the nice weather at Nashville Painting Company. Whatever color choice that you make, they'll get it done, but they can consult with you as well. They're licensed, bonded, and insured, and they're local, which is so good. 615-635-0350 for an appointment today. 615-635-0350 or NashvillePaintingCompany.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. Coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, Majority Leader William Lamberth will join us to talk about several pre-filed bills going on in advance of the special session of the General Assembly that happens this coming Monday. Specifically, there's the Child Victims Privacy Act that I want to discuss with the Majority Leader, William Lamberth. He filed that today, or yesterday, I should say, House Bill 7007. That's on the docket in the 2 o'clock hour. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, former U.S. Attorney for Alabama's Northern District, Jay Town, will be on with us coming up in the 1 o'clock hour to discuss the Trump indictment. I think I have that confirmed. I'm 95% on that. So those folks coming up, you on the phones right now, as asked. Marie is first up in Nashville with regard to the indictment of Donald Trump, the fourth indictment of Donald Trump. Marie, what's on your mind?
Hi, Matt. Love your show. Matt, it's going to be okay. We have a movement in this country that is so strong. It has momentum every minute. It's going to be all right. The Democrats are running on fear, and when people are in fear, they do incredibly evil things. We're all awake. We're going to stick together. We're going to come out and vote. And Donald Trump is going to be the next president, and our movement is stronger than ever. The young people that I talk to everywhere all are voting for Trump. I have never seen any generation like the millennials that I talk to daily that want Trump in office more than they get it. We're getting it every day. It's becoming more and more clear in this movement between the country songs that are going viral everywhere and the power. We have a movement going, and they just need to watch out because we're going to be in power, and they understand what that means if Donald Trump's elected. They all understand what is going to happen. Love your show. Thank you.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, Marie. I truly do. You know, maybe 2020 caught us unawares, and we have awakened in ways that we were not awake in 2020. Maybe because Trump was president, things were going fairly well outside of COVID-19. Maybe we did let our guard down a little bit. Maybe the realities of a Democrat-led administration and how that manifests itself in the economic downturn, our foreign policy entanglements. I think today not the 2-year anniversary of the tragic and disastrous Afghanistan pullout? I think that's correct. I mean, think about
look.
that.
I thought it was the 13th, but let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, it's around this time, though, certainly. We're remembering those who lost their lives because of Joe Biden. We also remember the fact that Joe Biden never apologized for the disaster that was that pullout. So there's that. But, Marie, I'm going to choose. I'm naturally pessimistic about these things. It is in my nature. I fight to be optimistic like you. I want to believe the young people are behind us. I want to believe that conservatives and libertarians will unite behind a singular figure, whether that's Donald Trump or not. I would say this, Marie, and the reason I bring that up that way, the American movement back to individual liberty and freedom and personal responsibility and law and order must be more than just about Donald Trump. Otherwise, we may win a small victory next cycle and still lose the war 4 years or 5 years or 8 years or 10 years from now. One thing that I have noticed about the political left, much like the Chinese communists, they are patient, they lie in wait, they accept the small defeats, they even accept the bigger defeats, but they keep coming. And I believe that they are a scourge on our representative republic. Jay is next in Nashville. Hey, Jay, how are you?
Hey, good, sir. How are you?
Hey, Jay, I'm good, but you know what I did there? And I'm putting you back on hold. I apologize. I went to another call way beyond the break, and I don't want to do that because I would have to give you 30 seconds and then go to the commercial break. So I'll tell you what, Jay and Joe and Roger, we'll get to you in just moments. It is the Murphy Show. Just going to get away. Happy lunchtime, by the way. And don't forget about our big event tonight at the J Street Korean Grill and Bar. Tonight. I feel like the old man on A Christmas Story. Tonight. Hot damn tonight. It's happening tonight. Hope to see you in Hendersonville. There will be limos and lipstick. And Dan's got a head that he's willing to let you kiss. That's all tonight, starting at 6 o'clock at J Street Korean Grill and Bar in Hendersonville.
We are live at J Street Korean Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing
I want
his
to talk to you about your energy level because I know I'm approaching a big birthday. I'm about to be 50 in a couple of weeks.
We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics.
When you get to my age, the energy level goes down and you don't feel like doing what you want to be doing.
When they say
but if your energy is going down unnaturally quickly, or you just don't know why you don't have the energy, I encourage you to schedule an appointment with the Tennessee Men's Clinic.
If you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Tip to stern, they'll take some blood work from you, and they'll check out several numbers that I bet you don't know about. Like your T level is a good example of the numbers that they'll check out. And if they're low, they have successful remedies for those levels naturally occurring. And that's going to get you back to the energy level that you've become accustomed to over the years, right? You don't have to suffer in silence with low energy. And you certainly don't have to suffer in silence when it comes to bedroom activities. Gentlemen, make this appointment a priority by calling the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go online to find out more at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or give them a call at 615-208-9090. 2 locations to serve. One's in Nashville, the other in Franklin, Cool Springs. It's 615-208-9090 for Tennessee Men's Clinic.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things I like to do for investors is educate them, because the more educated I believe that you are as an investor, the more peace of mind you have, the less you worry, and the more successful you're likely to be as an investor. So here goes another education. If we look at a lot of these investment portfolios, like these target date funds out there or portfolios put together by big mutual fund companies, they'll often use something called a total market fund. And you think, wow, I own the whole market in one mutual fund. Matter of fact, there's a really popular video out there on YouTube that says you can get by with just a couple mutual funds and you can be totally diversified. Nothing could be further from the truth. What's going on here is this. One of the things we know as an investor is that you have small companies out there and you have large companies out there. You have growth companies and you have value companies. I taught this in a previous video. We expect more return from small companies than we do large because they have to pay more to use your money historically. Value companies have to pay more to use your money historically as well. Now, what happens with total market funds is they weight based on the size of the company. Well, that would mean that a bigger company would represent more of the portfolio. So graphically, it would look something like this. The fund would look like this. That there's a ton of money in really big companies and there's almost no money in really small companies in those portfolios. So it's not really diversified. Do they own them? Yeah, they own them, but they almost have no money in them. So when these do really well, you're not really getting the benefit from it. What we would be better served doing is investing in various areas of the market and holding different types of funds to be more balanced between these areas. That's what academic research shows us, is if we can hold these areas more separately, then we end up with a better risk-return experience. So this is one of the things that we teach people. We like for you to understand this because the more you understand it, the less you're pulled astray from the investing industry that's typically all about selling you things. Yeah, total market fund, it sounds really good. Not necessarily so great in practice. Now, if you want to find out a little bit more and learn more about investing so that you're a more educated investor, why don't you take us up on a free 15-minute phone call. Go to paulwinkler.com. It's paulwinkler.com. You can set up one in any of our offices, our 10 offices around the Nashville area. There's one near you, most likely. Set that up. Come see us. We love to educate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the Matt Murphy Show in progress. Happy lunchtime. We are kind of your lunch bunch. Behind the glass is Bell K. I call him Headless Bell. He's not on the TV side of things. I never mentioned the TV side of things at the beginning of the show. Super Talk 99.7 WTN is on your radio. We're on any of your internet streaming platforms, and we are on your television on Super Talk TV. Find us at YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. All you need to do is go to one of those platforms, search Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You'll see us there. Hi, here I am. This is my pregame attire. Looking forward to tonight. I'll be dressed differently tonight, just so you know. And you can chat with us on the F&M Bank chat line when you go over to Super Talk TV on any of those platforms. All of the chats go to the same place. That's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. You pulled your microphone like you had something to say.
I was going to ask if you're wearing a jacket tonight. So you always seem to wear one when you go out in public.
You know what? I was thinking about jacket, but I was also thinking about just button down and like vest. You know, like do blue jeans, boots, kind of a Western shirt, vest. What do you think?
That's close to what you wore to the governor's mansion.
No, I didn't have a vest on.
Yeah, you didn't have a vest on.
I barely had blue jeans on at the governor's mansion. I almost
if
went
Erica
pantless.
hadn't brought you blue jeans, you wouldn't have had them on.
By the way, if anybody has my backyard under surveillance, I apologize for standing on my back porch in my underwear this morning. And that's all I'll say about that.
Somebody at the NSA deserves hazard pay.
Well, you know, Beasley was all in a hole trying to get a mole or something or another.
Was it one of the gopher holes?
Yeah, it was a little butt sticking out of there. I'm like, get out of there. And she wasn't listening to me. So, you know, it's one of those things where, and you guys with dogs will understand this, your dog's doing something, they're not listening to you. You're standing in the doorway. Finally, you go out on the deck. You go like halfway. Hey, I'm serious. One of those. And, oh, what? But I happen to be in my underpants. So I apologize to the neighbors if they saw me that way. 615-737-9986. In all seriousness, let's get back to the calls regarding Donald Trump's indictment. Number 4, every one of these indictments, you know, you strike me down now and I'll become more powerful than you possibly can imagine. Maybe Jay's got a different take on it. Jay, what are your thoughts?
Hey, sir, I appreciate you pointing out. I was going to talk about the grand jury procedure, and I think you've made some very good points about it that I think most people don't understand about it. I presented a lot of cases to a grand jury, and it's probably one of the things that I feel like, as far as the criminal procedure goes, is probably the easiest to be compromised, just because it's ex parte. Like you said, it's only one person coming in there telling their side of the story, basically. And let's just say you get the wrong person for the wrong reasons to get in there and explain what they're trying to get far as a charge on somebody. I rarely see a grand grand jury asking any questions back. They're told what the charge is and what the elements are from the DA. And once you start talking, I've most of the time they're going to go through. But when I say I feel like it's the easiest to compromise is if I go in there and just boldly lie, I don't know that perjury is even in play because I think nothing's recorded that I know of until you get on the stand. So, anything can come out. And so it's, when you get done presenting your case, they just look at each other and you get up and go. And next thing you know, you get a true bill for an indictment. So it's like I really feel like in this case with Donald Trump, it's probably, the same scenario. And if the wrong person got in there making up their side of the story and Donald Trump came to defend himself, I could see how they easily can bring these charges. But I highly doubt it's going to go any further in court.
These RICO charges are making the talking head liberals feel so good about themselves. And they're blathering on and on about the serious nature of the charges. You have to prove that this was a seditious conspiracy from the beginning in order to prove these racketeering charges. And you know what? You might find a jury that you might even find a jury. The grand jury, as you well know, Jay, is an easy get. You might even find a jury.
What were you saying a few weeks ago?
What was I saying a few weeks ago?
A grand jury will indict a ham sandwich.
Yes.
You're exactly right. And I don't know. I don't know why we even have this procedure in play. I really don't think it's very effective, and I don't.
Well, and I want to say, wasn't there something? Someone can remind me of these details. And Jay, thank you for the call. I'm going to scoot. I was having a little trouble hearing you, and I apologize. That's probably on my end. A grand jury is Jeremy just put it this way, and it's exactly right. A grand jury is basically a prosecutor's focus group. Hey, guys, get together. We have some of these things that we think you might want to take a look at, and we're just going to present one side of the story in a very compartmentalized way. And at the end of it all, if you agree with us, we're going to throw out these indictments against that person. These individuals are all innocent until proven guilty. Sadly, most Americans don't understand how a grand jury works. They don't know that the defense is not allowed to present any information. They don't know that the defense is not allowed to present a case. The defense is not allowed to object. The defense is not allowed to cross-examine. There is no defense. But there will be a defense. And all of the liberal talking heads are hanging their hats on the concept of the telephone call that was made by Donald Trump where he said, all I need you to do is find 11,700 and whatever many votes. And they all claim that they presume to know what Donald Trump meant by saying that more so than the man himself, who said, look, I knew that there was voter fraud. I knew that people who were dead voted. I knew that some of our ballots were cast aside that should have counted. And what I was telling the Secretary of State, what I was telling the state of Georgia is, I know those votes are out there. All you got to do is find them, and I win Georgia. I won Georgia, and if you count the votes adequately and accurately, we'll all know that at the end of the day. And oh, by the way, what you have to do is throw out those mail-in ballots that are postmarked beyond the date that they were supposed to be at the probate courts. Not that they did that either. Tommy is next in Lawrenceburg. Tommy, thank you for your call. Happy lunchtime. How are you?
I'm just fine, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm going to give the pessimistic view. I'm going to join you on that side. What has been done about voter fraud and the questions that were asked then since the election to make this next election any different than what happened in 2020?
So what has been done about the question is, what has been done about voter fraud in the various states that would prevent the same type of fraud? Well, primarily the fraud will be prevented because there's no COVID-19 to go against stated state law regarding election procedures and voting procedures in various states that suspended those voting procedures because of COVID-19, particularly with regard to mail-in balloting. That would be my answer.
But add a yet onto that. We still got several months before the election.
Oh, no, sure. I mean, they can attempt to create some sort of dynamic, and I expect if the political Democrats behind the scenes decide to hang with Joe Biden, which would be a miracle, in my opinion, Tommy, they're going to have to figure some reason why he doesn't have to go out and campaign because he does not have the physical stamina to do it. And another pandemic would fit that bill quite nicely, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. And I just want to say what I've been telling all my friends. I'm going to vote just like I always have. I vote my mind and my heart. The domestic terrorists that have taken our country away from us are not going to give up what they've exposed themselves to get. So it's going to get rough.
Well, and one of the things that I like to say if I'm out and about, and occasionally I'll say it on the radio too, Tommy, and thank you for your call. Did you think the swamp wasn't going to fight back? Did you think when we began to expose the partisan nature of the deep state, for example, in the Department of Justice, did you think they weren't going to fight back? Did you think they were going to play fair? Of course they're not going to play fair. Of course they're going to fight back. This is what that looks like. I have every expectation that in the spring of 2024, the American people that vote in the Republican Party primary will go to the polls and will select as their Republican nominee a man who is currently on trial in 4 separate states under 4 separate circumstances. I fully expect that. And we'll see what happens after that. While Donald Trump can be largely immune to federal prosecution as president of the United States, ultimately he could pardon himself. He cannot do so with state charges looming. But I have zero belief that these will go anywhere on appeal. Even if they convince a jury in Fulton County, a jury that will be predisposed and not to like Donald Trump very much. I want to say that Fulton County was, 30% Trump, 70% Biden, something along those lines. Even in those circumstances, I would be hard-pressed to see a jury voting guilty, but even if they do, racketeering charges? I mean, use the brain that God gave you. Even if we believe everything the political left is suggesting Donald Trump did, even if Donald Trump is well within his right to express, even if he is wrong, that voting fraud happened. Hillary Clinton did it. Al Gore did it. John Kerry did it. Stacey Abrams did it. You are well within your right to express your displeasure within the system. There's nothing illegal about that. There is nothing illegal, even if I think you are wrong. Did any of us say that Hillary Clinton should be locked up for saying the election was stolen from her? Not one of you. Now, Hillary Clinton should be locked up for a lot of other things, but not that. A presidential candidate has the right to say that he thinks it was stolen from him, whether or not we believe that to be true. Free speech matters in the United States of America. And understand, and I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning of the show, their purpose is not to just stop Trump. They are preparing to stop any and all future Trumps. And they don't want to get caught with their pants down again, so they're going to stop you preemptively. They are criminalizing you, pointing your finger at a corrupt process by using the corrupt process against you. I am thankful that we live in a country where I can tell you that. I'm almost 50 years old. I do not think that I will, let's see how to put this. I don't know that the country that I love will outlive me. And if you have kids, wow. Scary times. Scary times in the United States of America. Speaking of kids, there's something going on right here in Middle Tennessee that I don't see a lot of talk about. Concerned parents have blown the whistle on some material displayed to 4-year-olds in a Nashville public school. I'll tell you all about it. Plus, an update on the mayor's race. Plus, William Lamberth coming up in the final hour of the show. Plenty to go, and your calls as well. 615-737-9986. It's the Matt Murphy Show.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things I like to do for investors is educate them, because the more educated I believe that you are as an investor, the more peace of mind you have, the less you worry, and the more successful you're likely to be as an investor. So here goes another education. If we look at a lot of these investment portfolios, like these target date funds out there or portfolios put together by big mutual fund companies, they'll often use something called a total market fund. And you think, wow, I own the whole market in one mutual fund. Matter of fact, there's a really popular video out there on YouTube that says you can get by with just a couple mutual funds and you can be totally diversified. Nothing could be further from the truth. What's going on here is this. One of the things we know as an investor is that you have small companies out there and you have large companies out there. You have growth companies and you have value companies. I taught this in a previous video. We expect more return from small companies than we do large because they have to pay more to use your money historically. Value companies have to pay more to use your money historically as well. Now, what happens with total market funds is they weight based on the size of the company. Well, that would mean that a bigger company would represent more of the portfolio. So graphically, it would look something like this. The fund would look like this. That there's a ton of money in really big companies and there's almost no money in really small companies in those portfolios. So it's not really diversified. Do they own them? Yeah, they own them, but they almost have no money in them. So when these do really well, you're not really getting the benefit from it. What we would be better served doing is investing in various areas of the market and holding different types of funds to be more balanced between these areas. That's what academic research shows us, is if we can hold these areas more separately, then we end up with a better risk-return experience. So this is one of the things that we teach people. We like for you to understand this, because the more you understand it, the less you're pulled astray from the investing industry that's typically all about selling you things. Yeah, total market fund, it sounds really good. Not necessarily so great in practice. Now, if you want to find out a little bit more and learn more about investing so that you're a more educated investor, why don't you take us up on a free 15-minute phone call? Go to paulwinkler.com. It's paulwinkler.com. You can set up one in any of our offices, our 10 offices around the Nashville area. There's one near you, most likely. Set that up. Come see us. We love to educate investors. I think you'll be happy you did.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. Hello, welcome. Finishing up hour number 1. We've got 2 more to go. The Drive with Brian Wilson this afternoon. He is on the road in Hendersonville in anticipation of the J Street Grill and Bar event tonight. It is the big Super Talk event with all of us. The Hail the gang, or almost all the gang is there, to include yours truly. Chris Hand will be there. You get to meet Chris. Obviously, Brian Wilson will be there. Dan Mandis of Nashville's Morning News. Johnny B. Good to see Johnny B. there. Pamela Furr will also be in attendance. We'll be there, and we look forward to seeing you. And by the way, there are several tickets that have been made available. Now, if you want to snag one online, I think you still can at 997WTN.com and use the promo code Chris. But if you want to come to the door and just show up, I think there are several seats that have been made available for show-ups. And
does Dan buy drinks for those?
Yes, that is correct. That is my understanding. And obviously, this is all brought to you by good people like the Dr. Poss Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solutions Center. Thank you to Dr. Poss. As well as Oil Fire Whiskey. Nothing woke about it, just great whiskey with a smooth taste and no burn. Tell you what, if you're a walk-up and you want to come up and have a delicious Oil Fire Whiskey with me, I'll have one with you too. Just say, hey, Murph, Oil Fire Whiskey me, and I will.
And Mandis will pay for it.
And Mandis will pay for it. Correct. We can give him a big kiss on the head with some lipstick on. Joe will get to you momentarily. Plus, coming up, Jay Town, U.S. Attorney from the Northern Alabama District, on the way.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And If you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, but you would not join Patriot Mobile simply because of that. Maybe that's a part of the reason, but it's not the sole reason. You would expect the same dependable coverage. You would expect the same coverage as you get on all three major networks. You would expect the same coverage without the leftist woke propaganda, and you get all of those things with Patriot Mobile. Plus, switching is so easy. Let's talk about this because I believe you need to switch to Patriot Mobile. Put your money where your mouth is. And when you do, it is as simple as making a call. You'll talk to somebody based right here in the United States of America. You keep your phone. You keep your phone number. There's no disruption of service. You just switch. It's like magic. And before you know it, you're giving money to things that you believe in, not things that you don't believe in. And that's important. It should be important. It's not as important as your coverage. I understand that. I understand your cell phone is important to you, but it should be important to you. Concepts like the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, religious freedom, the sanctity of life, and all of those things are believed in by Patriot Mobile. So I want you to go to patriotmobile.com/Murphy. That's patriotmobile.com/Murphy or 878-PATRIOT. Use offer code Murphy for free activation. 878-PATRIOT. Offer code Murphy. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you, 105. Thanks for being here. In about 5 minutes or so, we'll speak to Jay Town on the Trump indictments. He is a former U.S. attorney in the Northern District of Alabama, and he was appointed by Donald Trump, and he knows these things quite well. We will talk with Jay about 5 minutes from now. You on the phone, 615-737-9986. Obviously, the big story of the day, the big story of the week, yet another Trump indictment. The judge in the Trump case is defiant in response to calls that the judge themselves should recuse. Juan Mercan donated $15 to Joe Biden. Is that right?
Commitment.
No, actually, this is the Manhattan judge. I'm getting my judges confused. There's so many different indictments. My apologies. So the Manhattan judge handling the hush money payments case against former President Donald Trump has now refused to recuse himself from the case following a request by Trump's legal team. So Judge Juan Mercan, I don't know. Judge Juan affirmed his ability to be fair and impartial in an opinion, rejecting arguments from Trump's legal team, stating that he should recuse himself. Trump's lawyers pointed to donations that the judge made to Democratic causes for the 2020 election cycle. The case against Trump relates to alleged hush money that he paid to adult film actress Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential campaign. The judge, Merchan, donated $15 to then-candidate Joe Biden, $10 to a progressive turnout project, and $10 to an organization called Stop Republicans. But yeah, I'm sure you can be fair and impartial. No big deal there. In the meantime, I've got a story to tell you in Nashville regarding some material that you might be a little bit surprised is hanging on the wall of your kid's school if you attend Metro Nashville Public Schools. More on that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Plus, the House Majority Leader, William Lamberth, will be with us in the 2 o'clock hour to discuss the special session that will begin next Monday. Don't forget about our event tonight in Hendersonville. Excited as can be about it, and I would love to see you. Come on out and see us. You can sit by me. I promise you. I'll save you a seat. Joe is next up. Hey, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing good today. How are you, Matt?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for holding on.
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, it's Trump all the way. Second point is, if they throw enough noodles at the wall, something's going to stick. So what do we do then? And enough of all the talk, because we sit around and I guess, where's our billionaires throwing money at it, and why aren't they chasing down George Soros? I guess that would be part two. Part three is, at what point in time do we take our country back? I mean, literally take our country back, because we've been hearing this now for, I don't know, 10 years. It's back and forth, and nothing's getting accomplished. They keep sending our money away. They keep taxing us more and more. Now they're taking our air conditioners, our gas-powered motors. I mean, at what point in time do we sit down? If we mounted protests like they do, the liberals, burn some cop cars or burn down buildings, and they'd arrest us. Even if we just go up to if we get escorted around in the State Department or in the White House up there, we're conspiracists and trying to overthrow the government. I mean,
of course. I mean, yeah, the rules are different for groups of Democrats. I mean, for example, why have we not caught the individual that planted the pipe bombs outside of the DNC on January 5th? We have that guy on video. We know what that person looks like. We've not caught them. I believe we've not caught them because that person was a Democrat operative. In the meantime, and I'm sorry to suspend the call there, we have Joe Biden. We still don't have an ability to take this, do we? So Joe Biden is speaking for the first time regarding the Maui wildfires. He's doing that live. I apologize. I'll try to find it on Twitter. I'll do this in real time, and I'll attempt to find this because I think it's of interest. You know, Joe Biden hasn't spoken a word about this. Remember, he was at the beach the other day, and this guy just all right, I think I've got it. I think I've got it. I've got a portion of it. I don't have all of it. But let me see. See if you can't find this, Bell, somewhere on social media in real time, because I'd love to take some of this. Joe Biden is speaking for the first time regarding the wildfires in Hawaii. Here's some of what he has to say.
We've also authorized one-time payments of $700 per household to folks who've been displaced, so they can do the immediate things of just taking care of medications and prescriptions that they so badly need.
You got him? Oh, Jay? No, I'm talking about, you were on the phone. Just Joe Biden is finishing up his comments. Maybe we can re-rack those, find them somewhere, and replay them for you. I was going to do it in real time, but we'd have to find it somewhere online, and we can probably re-rack that for you. In the meantime, $700? Is that what he said? How much money are we giving to Ukraine again? I think the total amount to Ukraine, conservative amount to Ukraine, is $130 billion. And Joe Biden just announced that he's willing to give a one-time payment to victims of the Hawaii wildfires for $700. $700. Wow. Wow, Joe. These folks have lost everything. Many of them. Some of them have lost their lives. And you're giving them $700.
Well, it's not like they're having to fight a war or something, man. Come on.
And I understand many of you on the super text line are like, we don't want to hear Joe Biden anyway, so don't worry about it. We just have a little technical thing that we've got to get figured out between the control room and the studio regarding joining press conferences and the like in real time, and we'll get it figured out. But I understand that, but we need to hear him. I mean, this guy is just, for 2.5 days, we couldn't get anything out of him. We heard from Donald Trump regarding the Maui wildfires. We heard from former President Barack Obama regarding the Maui wildfires. And Joe Biden was consistently a no comment. He verbalized a no comment to begin with, and then he was just absent for another 24, 36 hours. Finally, he went off to Wisconsin, I believe it was, to talk Bidenomics. And he finally decided to make a comment on it. Speaking of comments, I've been meaning to have this gentleman on for some time. He is a former U.S. attorney in the Northern Alabama district. He was appointed by Donald J. Trump. He is a great legal mind. You know, we have Jay St. Clair on Fridays, and now another Jay. Jay Town joins us on the Matt Murphy hotline to give us his impression of the Georgia indictments that dropped late in the evening last night. Jay, it's good to finally talk to you on air. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be with you. So thank you for giving me a call today.
Well, for those who don't know about your sort of bona fides in the Northern Alabama district, just tell some folks a little about your history. I mean, you've been in many courtrooms over your life, Jay.
I have, and so I was a judge advocate in the Marines for 12 years. I was a violent crimes prosecutor for the state of Alabama for 13, primarily focused on homicide prosecutions. And then President Trump appointed me as the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Alabama, which is about 3 of the 5 million people here in the state. And now I'm the general counsel and vice president of an aerospace company called Gray Analytics here in Huntsville, Alabama. So, I've had more trials than most, been in the courtroom, for most of my professional life. Looking at these cases against former president, I certainly, there's some of them I wouldn't have brought. I can start with that.
Well, you know about grand juries, you know about indictments, and you know about the Trump presidency, and you know about the deep state. So put all of those things together and give me your initial impressions when you saw what dropped last night drop.
Yeah, so there's been 4 indictments, and if you don't count the superseding as a separate indictment, and I'll just tell you that the only one that I would be concerned about if I was President Trump, from a truly legal perspective, if you just look at it in silos, is the Mar-a-Lago indictment. The Mar-a-Lago indictment, if what can be proven in that indictment is proven beyond a reasonable doubt in a courtroom to a jury, that's a problem because that stuff's really against the law. I wouldn't have brought that case either, but it's been brought, so the analysis is not whether we should have brought it, but now that they have, look, this is just an inch north of the Alvin Bragg indictment, the one that was brought by the Fulton County DA last night. There's so many problems with it. I'm happy to let you peel through them one by one, or I can just start and you can,
I mean, let's start with the big headline, right? I mean, the liberal talking heads were, they were emotionally orgasmic over the fact that he was indicted under the RICO statutes in Georgia. Talk to us about that one first.
Yeah, so just for the listeners, RICO is, imagine there's a criminal organization, and you can only prove that the people on the skirts of the guy on the street corner who's dealing the dope, they're all working for this centralized person or group of persons. If you can prove the criminal existence of an enterprise, then if you can just prove that one crime was committed, you can convict them all of violating the RICO statute. This was envisioned for mafia and cartels and street gangs and things like that. The last time I think that they used a RICO statute to trial was, you remember in 2013, there were like 35 teachers in Atlanta that were fudging test scores, right? And they ended up charging that as a RICO case, and they actually were successful. Here's the problem, though. Here's a big difference between that RICO case of a bunch of teachers in Fulton County and this one. You read this 96-page indictment, you're going to find all kinds of facts that make up the conspiracy and the solicitations and the criminal behavior that happened outside of Fulton County. Now, I don't give a damn who you are in this world as a district attorney. You don't have jurisdiction outside of your county. And just because something may have happened in your county doesn't give you jurisdiction over every little thing that might have tangentially been related to that one thing. And so I think that there's a lot of jurisdictional problems, like the meeting between Trump and Pence in the White House, for instance, on January 5th, 2021. Tell me how a DA in Fulton County, Georgia, has jurisdiction to prosecute a crime based on that behavior. That to me, those are things that are going to be sussed out pre-trial. They have to be, because they're not questions for the jury. They're actually questions of law. Personal jurisdiction cannot be waived. And so that's something that every one of these defendants, except for probably the fake electors or alternative electors, which I'd like to talk about, Matt, they're the ones who don't, they maybe do live in Fulton County, or maybe their activities were there. But the rest of them, Giuliani and Trump and some of these others, I don't understand how the long arm of the law in Fulton County extends outside of Fulton County.
So there, I mean, if I understand you correctly, Jay, that this extends well beyond the jurisdiction of the district attorney in a way. I mean, have you ever heard of this?
No, because nobody's been this stupid to bring something like this, right?
Right.
I mean, you gotta really try hard to just twist your mustache hard enough to come up with, hey, I am going to prosecute you for a letter that you sent to people in the state of Michigan. And I live in Georgia. Like, that wouldn't even have crossed my mind. I couldn't have invented this indictment if I said, okay, Jay, Matt Murphy wants you to invent the most ridiculous set of facts in an indictment that you can come up with. I would have been so south of this, right? I mean, I wouldn't even have sniffed this indictment. Now, I will say this. I'm a little tongue-in-cheek here, but I will say this. If anybody lied to the grand jury, if anybody knowingly told falsehoods to a state Senate committee, right, that had been gavelled into session, well, those are problems, right? Can't do that. But you have to prove that they knowingly told a falsehood, not just that it was demonstrably true that the election hadn't been stolen, right? We all knew that. Well, that's not a fact. You know, as much as I believe that the election wasn't stolen, Trump lost, and I understand why he'd be embarrassed about that, because he lost to a guy who campaigned from his basement. So I'd come up with any other reason other than I got beat by that guy. But at the same time, I don't think that you can honestly say on December 14th of 2020, or even the 31st, or the January 2nd, which is when that meeting took place in the Georgia Senate, that it was absolutely true. I knew that I was going to lose my lawsuit in the state of Georgia, and they weren't going to have any recounts at all that might alter the outcome of the election in the state of Georgia. I just don't think that's demonstrably true, because it hadn't happened yet, right? That hearing was January 8th. It was 6 days away. So we didn't know. And so she's going to have a lot of proof problems. If she likes tough cases, she better take a big whiff, because she's got one.
Well, and it occurs to me that the political left is now criminalizing differences of opinion.
Correct. That's a big, when you look at, so Jack Smith's indictment of January 6th, it definitely danced around the edges of the concept you just mentioned. But this indictment in Fulton County, Georgia, it actually criminalizes not only free speech, but civil disobedience and differences of opinion, conspiracy theories, right? Again, yes, they were wrong. Trump didn't have the election stolen from him. All right, I worked for the man. I'm forever grateful for the opportunities that he gave me. He's always been nice to me. but nobody has shown me anything in a court of law or anywhere else that there was some outcome determinative fraud. And so until somebody does that, I'm not going to believe that happened just because that man says it must have.
Well,
There's no
Jay,
other
and
explanation for my loss.
one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on, because you did work for Donald Trump. I know you don't believe that the election was stolen, that you've not seen any evidence, but I think you presented in this way for a it's not about, I see a lot of Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, whatnot, arguing that point. It really is beside the point whether or not he was correct in his assertion that the election was stolen. They are criminalizing his right to suggest it or believe it and say it. Let's talk on that front in just a moment. Jay Town's with us. We got to take a quick time out. He is a former U.S. attorney in the Northern Alabama District. He was appointed by Donald J. Trump. We're talking about the indictments last night in the state of Georgia. And I'm going to ask the differences between a grand jury and a special grand jury because I don't think I know. I do want Jay to go over the processes that the grand jury goes through because I think it's important to reiterate that this is not like a trial. Certainly not. The trial is yet to come. 22 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ladies and gents, the world-famous Glock store available for you, 35,000 square feet. They specialize, obviously, in Glock handguns. They have highly trained gunsmiths on site every day to help you with any need you might have with your current gun. Plus, they have performance parts that will make your gun operate even better than it is right now, like pyramid triggers, tungsten guide rods, extended controls, and night sights. I train at the Glock store, and I encourage you to do so as well. You know, I mentioned that I took 2 training sessions in subsequent weeks, and my accuracy and speed improved. I was running a course at 30 seconds. It was a little training course, 14 shots, 7 different targets. I went from 30 seconds to 11 seconds after 1 training session. Thank you to the world-famous Glock store. Individual shooting rooms. You and your trainer can shoot, or you can have 3 of your friends. 4 individuals per trainer can be per room. Shoot in multiple directions with their Shoot 270 training ranges. There aren't lanes. They are rooms because life doesn't happen on a range. It happens in rooms and out of doors, and they will train you in real-life scenarios and circumstances. So, point number 1, get your Glock from the Glock store, or any gun of your choosing, long or short. And then number 2, get trained up at the world-famous Glock store. Glockstore.com or shoot270.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and U126. Jay Town is with us. He's a former U.S. attorney in the Northern District of Alabama. He was selected by Donald J. Trump, talking about the latest indictment of Trump in Georgia. 41 counts in total, and 19 individuals included in this conspiracy. So explain to me, Jay, because I don't believe I quite know the difference between a grand jury and a special grand jury, and apparently this was a special grand jury in the case of Georgia. What is the difference?
Well, so the special grand jury was that initial grand jury that was sort of advisory, right? Doesn't have any legal power to indict, but it does have the power to subpoena. And it just makes the investigation, especially when you have a sprawling case with 19 defendants, let's say, and really more than that, because I think at least 8 have been given immunity on top of the 19. And so they investigate it, package it up. You can refine the investigation for the real grand jury, and then you present very quickly to that grand jury, and you seek a true bill on those counts, which is the indictment that we saw last night.
Does anything give you – well, let me ask it this way. Jay, do you believe this is going anywhere with a jury? And if so, do you believe it's going anywhere on appeal?
Well, I think it's definitely, if anybody is convicted, it's definitely going to be appealed, because this is just laden with issues. And I think what you're going to find, Matt, that as the pretrial motions are filed and there are decisions made by either the trial court or even in a federal appellate court, because there are constitutional issues afoot here, that you're going to find a lot of these counts and a lot of these factors are going to be stripped away. And every time, if you think of a RICO charge as sort of like a bike wheel, right? Every time you remove a charge or a fact, you're removing a spoke. And pretty soon you're going to have a spokeless wheel, and your entire RICO charge falls apart. And so a lot of these defendants that are involved in the big RICO, criminal enterprise, if you can't prove RICO, you can't touch them, again, because they didn't do anything in Fulton County. You can go after those fake electors if you want to, someone that lied to the grand jury. All that is perfectly legitimate to charge. But that's like a 2-page indictment, right? This is 96. And so as that RICO strips away, you're in the pretrial motions, you're going to see a lot of these defendants have their cases dismissed. And as that gets down the road, I think you're going to find that a lot of this case will be dismissed. But it'll be after the general election is underway, right? This isn't going to take place anytime soon.
I'm going to read you a portion of the indictment, Jay, and tell me what you make of this and what they are talking about. I don't know that I can quite understand it or follow it, or if they even say it all in the 98-page indictment. The indictment states that the defendants and unindicted co-conspirators constituted a criminal organization whose members and associates engaged in various related criminal activities, including but not limited to false statements and writings, impersonating a public officer, forgery, filing false documents, influencing witnesses, computer theft, computer trespass, computer invasion of privacy. I don't even know what that is. Conspiracy to defraud the state, acts involving theft and perjury. I mean, what are they talking about?
Well, they're talking about all these conversations that all these people had about the fact that there was votes that were overcounted or undercounted or not counted. And the invasion of the voting machine. Again, they were invited by the folks in Coffee County, right, to come down and take a look at the machine if they wanted to. That hardly screams of criminal intent, right? It's at least entrapment, So to me, there is you had to write the indictment this way to appease whoever she's trying to appease. When I wrote indictments, when I brought indictments and charges against people, I wasn't trying to please anyone, right? There should be nothing pleasing about it. And yes, I removed some very dangerous people from communities from this state. I prosecuted death penalty cases successfully, and they're removed from the earth. So I took it very seriously, but you can't find joy in it. You can't find a political upside in it. And it seems like that's all that this indictment in Atlanta was meant to do. And so look, you can indict anything. Prosecute it beyond a reasonable doubt successfully is a whole other thing. Withstanding appeal, yet another thing. I don't think she has the horses for those last two, at least not on every one of these counts. And it's going to be embarrassing for her when it finally happens. But she'll just blame the appellate court or the jurors, or, I had a MAGA hat wearing guy on my jury and he was never going to vote to convict Trump, and so there's a lot of outs that she has, but boy, is she popular in her inner circle right now in Fulton County.
Oh, no, she's saying all the right things to all the right people, obviously. Legal be damned, justice be damned. She's doing her job, certainly, as I understand it, and that is get Trump at all cost and send a message to anyone else that wants to question integrity of elections. I mean, that seems to me to be the ultimate message here, is that the individuals running the elections, if you question their integrity, they will criminalize that question and turn it against you, which is what has happened in Georgia. Am I right?
That's exactly the perception that I think very legitimate people are going to have. And if you do question practices on election night, you're going to, well, we told you that wasn't true, so that should be enough to form criminal intent if you continue to pursue this lawsuit or have a press conference or call somebody or text somebody. The First Amendment has to matter, right? Our political discourse doesn't end at the ballot box. We get to question the elections. We do it in every election, every damn one of them, Matt. We go and we ask for recounts, or we have lawsuits to extend the polling so that people online can vote, right? I mean, we've done a lot of these things already. Is that illegitimate? I mean, there's a lot of good lawyers that'll stay on the sidelines of this stuff because they don't trust. It's one thing to say, DOJ's not going to touch me on this. It's another thing to say, I don't know Fannie Willis, right? I don't know someone in the Detroit DA's office or St. Louis DA's office. I don't know what they're going to do to me, right? They're going to ruin my life, make me spend a couple $100,000 on legal fees so that I can get out of this mess, all because I gave legal advice they disagreed with. That's where we're really running into a problem here, and it really has a cooling that I think is unsustainable, but certainly unconstitutional and inappropriate. And it really, we need our leadership in this country to, on both sides, to recognize, okay, this can't be the way things go. We hate Trump too, but this isn't the remedy for hating Trump.
Amen. It's about much, much more than that. Jay Town with us for a good, solid 20 minutes. Jay, thank you for the analysis. Excellent segment. We'll call you again very soon. I appreciate you being on today.
Thanks, Matt. Have a good one.
Take care. There's Jay Town, former U.S. Attorney under Donald Trump in northern Alabama. We'll be back in just a moment. It's 1:35. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Defend Systems. We live in a dangerous world. Defend Systems is there for you when you need them. They're a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. Their expertise is simple. Their experience. For almost 2 decades, they engaged in over 1,000 high-risk law enforcement tactical operations. Brink Fiddler and his team understand how to break in. They understand how criminals will try to break in. They understand active shooter response. They understand workplace violence and prevention, and they can help you understand it as well, all customized to your staff and your facility. If you're a decision maker in a church, in a school, in a place of business, please do yourself a favor and call Defend Systems. Give yourself that level of peace of mind, knowing that you understand rapid response when it comes to medical training and emergency and intruder action plans. That's what it's all about. Folks, a dangerous world. Odds are you'll never have to utilize this information. But hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained. 615-236-6484, 236-6484, or defendsystems.com. Defendsystems.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 139, almost 140. Thank you for being around. My name is Matt Murphy. It's our episode 399 today. How about that? Thank you for being with us. I hope you're here for every single moment of every single episode. From noon until 3, and really information-fueled and opinion-driven news talk radio all day long, starting with Dan Manis, Nashville's Morning News, Chris Hand, yours truly, Brian Wilson. There are other players in the fray like Johnny B. and Pamela Furr, and you can meet all of us tonight at J Street Korean Grill and Bar. That is brought to you in part by Dr. Poss Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solutions, and Oil Fire Whiskey. Nothing woke about it, just great whiskey with a smooth taste and no burn. We have a few tickets that we have allotted for walk-ups, so if you're not internet active or whatnot, and several of you are not, then by all means, come on out and see us anyway, and we'd love to say hello to you. So I just, during the brief commercial advertisement timeout, I went back and I was listening to some of the Joe Biden speech and cutting up some of this so that you can listen to it as well. There is a reason that they do not put this man on stage very often. There is a reason that I tell you that there is an almost non-existent chance that he is the nominee in 2024. When you are running for president of the United States in normal circumstances, you have to go out and make a speech a day at least. And I understand it's a stump speech, but I don't think he can remember them. But you're making a speech a day at minimum, maybe sometimes 2. Heck, sometimes 3. Well, this has nothing to do with Joe Biden, or maybe it does. Maybe he was late because he had to go make poopy or something or another. But listen to the way they introduced him. This was in Wisconsin. Joe Biden was touring a Wisconsin factory, and Democrat Representative Gwen Moore went up on stage to introduce him. And this is as it happened in Wisconsin today.
President Joe Biden, y'all.
There's nobody. There's nobody on stage. Uh-oh. I made a poopy.
Well, I'm a little underwhelmed, aren't you all? I
Yeah.
think I messed up. Y'all, please vote for me, okay?
You know what? I don't want anybody to vote for Gwen Moore, but that actually makes me laugh that there's no Joe Biden. She's told to go introduce the guy. There's no Joe Biden. Who knows where he is? And I think she spoke for the entirety of the United States of America. Her next comment, just listen.
President Joe Biden, y'all.
Just, right after the uh-oh, I think she speaks for all America. All of America, right here. Hold on. Wait for it.
Uh-oh.
Here it is.
Well, I'm a little underwhelmed, aren't you all?
Yes,
I
we're a
think I
little
messed
underwhelmed. Oh, I think America messed up, ma'am. I think America messed up. I think America is messed up. Holy shnikes. I'm a little underwhelmed. Aren't you all? Yes, ma'am. We are. We're all a little underwhelmed.
Well, I'm a little underwhelmed, aren't you all?
Yep.
I think I messed up.
And then this one is good.
Y'all, please vote for me, okay?
It's like, to hell with this. I'm getting off stage. Let's cut to the chase. Y'all vote for me. I don't give a crap if you vote for this old man or not. Just
Up. Y'all, please vote for me, okay?
Well, eventually, Joe Biden made his way to the stage, and he had a number of things to say about Bidenomics. And, you know, he introduced a number of people. He mispronounced a lot of their names, and that is to be expected with Joe because he doesn't really give a good speech anymore, never really has. But then he went on to start lying to the American people about stuff like this.
My wife Jill and I are going to travel to Hawaii as soon as we can. That's what I've been talking to the governor about. I don't want to get in the way. I've been to too many disaster areas.
Joe Biden promised to go to East Palestine, Ohio. Has Joe Biden been to East Palestine, Ohio? Remember the train derailment there that caused economic and natural disaster in that area? And when he finally spoke on it, he promised to go, and he has yet to go.
As soon as we can. That's what I've been talking to the governor about. I don't want to get in the way. I've been to too many disaster areas, but I want to go, make sure we got everything they need.
Well, like the $700 that he offered a little later on. He then went on to offer his suggestion that the economy is getting a lot better. Now, Joe Biden's going to say something to you here in a moment. But before he does, I want you to know that here are the real numbers. Real prices on goods and services. That would be inflation up since Joe Biden became president by 16.9%. Wages are down by 3%. Prices are up 16.9%. Wages are down 3%. Everybody with me so far? Here's Joe.
The Financial Times and the Wall Street Journal started calling my plan not initially as a compliment to Bidenomics. But guess what, folks? They're talking about it differently now. It's working. It's working. I'm serious.
He doesn't believe that. He doesn't know anything that he's talking about. He's reading off a teleprompter. Once again, prices up 16.9%, real wages down 3%. Just ask yourself if it's working. Ask yourself if economically you feel more comfortable or are better off than you were 3 years ago. Just ask yourself. I don't care who you are, Republican, Democrat, libertarian, agnostic, whatever. You can hate politics till the cows come home. Are you better off or are you not? You see, Biden can lie to the American people, thank you to the mainstream media that allow him to do so. They won't report the truth. But he cannot lie to you. He cannot lie to your wallet. He can't lie about those things. He cannot tell you that your world economically is better today than it was 3 years ago when you know very well it's not. You may be the exception that proves the rule, but the rule states that 16.9% of your goods and services, or rather, your goods and services are costing 16.9% more, and your wages are down by 3%. Of course, Biden's never going to admit that. He's just going to talk about how inflation's down. Yeah, inflation's down from its historic high, Joe. And then he goes on to lie. Once again, he lies fast and furious in such a way where nobody's going to call him on it. But here's another one.
We pay for low-wage workers has grown at the fastest rate in 2 decades. Wages are growing faster than inflation. Folks, that's Bidenomics.
Real wages are down 3% since Joe Biden took office. And then he finally got to the meat of the matter after blowing his nose.
More than $1.5 trillion. Let me say it again. $1.5 trillion in private investment in American manufacturing.
He did one of these things that I don't quite understand. He pulled out a handkerchief and he blew his nose in it, and then he put it back in his pocket. My grandpa used handkerchiefs, cloth handkerchiefs. Would put one in his pocket every day. Would pull it out, would blow his nose on it, and would stick it back in his pocket. And I never understood that. Like, why would you do that? William's next in Nashville. Hey, William, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. I just wanted to ask the question. You know, the interview with the former U.S. attorney a while ago in Alabama. He made a comment about former President Trump lost the election. Am I wrong that after everything was said and done and they investigated all the votes in Georgia, wasn't there a lot of fraud and uncounted votes, people that voted from out of state, ballots that were sent in after the date that they were supposed to be sent in? Wasn't that proven or not?
Not in a court.
But didn't the Secretary of State or the people that are in charge in Georgia investigate that and come out and say that they found a lot of problems? Or is that just stuff that I made up or something? I hear it every day on.
There were a lot of issues involving voting in the 2020 election cycle. I'm not trying to relitigate it. I don't think it matters one way or the other. J-Town is of the position that the election was not stolen in toto, meaning that I don't think anyone's suggesting that there was not a lot of suspicious activity surrounding the 2020 election cycle, including in the state of Georgia, including voting boxes. And, 2,000 Mules is a great documentary highlighting some of the irregularities that happened. But it has never been brought to a court of law and proven within a court of law in the state of Georgia that there was voting irregularity or voting fraud to the levels that would have changed the outcome of the election. I'm not saying that I don't believe that it could have been proven. I'm saying it hasn't been.
But the judges that allow this stuff to go forward, aren't these the same judges that are persecuting him? I mean, they bring evidence to the courts, and these judges just won't hear it.
No, a lot of the judges are throwing it out. That is correct. I mean, I agree with that. Once again, though, William, I mean, our ability to litigate the 2020 results of the election have closed in terms of litigating them in a court of law. And if there was real and tangible evidence being presented by the Trump team, even if a judge refused to hear that evidence, there are ways to get it to the appellate level where a judge more consistent with the law would be able to hear it. And that did not happen in Georgia or anywhere else for that matter. And I know that chaps a lot of Trump supporters. It chaps my hide as well. I'm not telling you I love it. I'm not telling you I'm happy to report this news. I'm just trying to tell you what happened.
Well, I understand what happened. It just seems like the same people that will not allow the evidence to come forward are the same people that are on a daily basis accusing Trump of doing things wrong that he didn't do. And in the same time, the ones that are accusing him, they've either done it, already doing it right now, and nothing's happening.
Well, there was a lot of smoke in Georgia, and there was never demonstrated to be any fire in a court of law. And if there was, I would have told you about it. There's a lot of speculation about what happened to those drop boxes. I know what I believe happened at those drop boxes, but I have to prove it. And no one ever did. And it was by design that no one ever did. Because once those drop boxes got filled with ballots from who knows where, once they were collected, let's say that there were 50,000. And William, I'm just trying to answer your question. And I know it gives you no pleasure to hear this. But let's say that they were cheating from the word go. And they dumped 100,000 fraudulent ballots in those drop boxes, which could have happened. Once all of those ballots gets mixed in with the legitimate ballots, there is zero way to know which is which. That was by design. So a judge is not going to unilaterally overturn the election results based on what they think might be true. We have to prove that it's true, and we have to show that there were enough ballots to actually tilt the election from one candidate to another. So even if a judge is acting in good faith, they're not going to call on that. They're not going to make that call. And I don't believe they were acting in good faith. It's 1:53 on Super Talk. What a wonderful and positive experience that I had with Kraft Body Scan. Private health consultation was the first step in my visit at Kraft Body Scan, and it was a good one. We went over some of the issues that I've had in the past. We talked about my health history, and then the scan happened, and that was like 5 to 8 minutes. I thought it would be a lot longer. It was not. It's a CT scan. This technology has been around for a while. Kraft Body Scan around since 2017, and they've just opened an office here in Nashville. If you're worried about your health, if you don't know what's going on inside of your body, or maybe you feel a symptom or two and you want to make sure that it's no big deal, well, Kraft Body Scan is for you. It's preventative scanning of your body, full body scan, heart or lung scan. They could even do a virtual colonoscopy for you to make sure that everything inside of you is going A-OK, give you that peace of mind. It's my experience that I can speak of, and it was such a positive one, and I want you to experience it as well. As a matter of fact, heart and lung scans are now $149. $149 for a heart and lung scan at Kraft Body Scan. Sign up today at craftbodyscan.com. That's Kraft with a C, bodyscan.com, or give them a call and schedule an appointment. 615-436-1000, 436-1000.
It is 2 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Right now, 81 degrees and sunny. No rain in the forecast all week. Complete forecast, few minutes away. President Biden says, quote, "We'll be there in Maui as long as it takes for the island to recover." Biden spoke about the wildfire disaster as he addressed a crowd in Milwaukee today. Elizabeth Schulze has more from the White House.
He's been aggressive, and the White House has kind of been aggressive in saying that President Biden declared that disaster declaration within hours. They're trying to say they were quick in their response. He laid out really kind of those tangible examples of what this federal response has been. 500 federal personnel are already on the ground, and he talked about FEMA providing 50,000 meals, 75,000 liters of water, these kind of real-life examples.
Right now in Tennessee, police are looking for the suspect of a gas station shooting. It happened last night. It was in Millersville at a Shell station where there were shots fired in the women's bathroom. Police weren't aware of that shooting until this morning. Night shift employees at that gas station cleaned up the whole crime scene. Officers are now searching for a male suspect and a female victim. And Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles tells WTN's Chris Hanshow he hopes to defund special counsel Jack Smith, who brought indictments against former President Trump for his alleged role in the January 6th Capitol riot.
There's a couple of ways you can get it done. One would be to attach it to some sort of appropriations bill. The other one would be to move it through committee as a standalone. When we get back, I'll meet with the leadership to see what the appetite is to make that type of aggressive move. Let's be honest, it is aggressive. And then from there, we can map out a game plan.
Congress reconvenes on September 5th. And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Fur, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to tell you about PhD weight loss. If you've not heard me talk about my weight loss journey, well, let's get into it. Because I decided I was sick and tired of being big and tired, wanted to lose some weight. Found PhD weight loss. I mean, it is an incredible experience to lose weight without being hungry. I've lost 26.5 pounds thus far. That's the last time I weighed in this past Friday. I'll weigh in again Friday, and I'll let you know how that goes. It's the best endorsement that I can give you. In just over 6 weeks, I have lost 26 pounds. I'm on my way to my target weight. Can't tell you the difference that it's made in the way I look, in the way my clothes feel and fit, in how I sleep. It works. PhD Weight Loss is a great program. Thank you to Dr. Ashley Lucas and the PhD Weight Loss Plan and Nutrition System. I'm on my way, and you can be as well. Most men lose somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 pounds per week. Women, on average, 2 to 3 pounds per week. And don't forget the PhD guarantee. PhD Weight Loss says that if you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, they'll continue to coach you for free until you do. It's really that simple, folks. It's structure that makes it easy for me, and I believe it will work for you. Here's the website to go and find out more. myphdweightloss.com. Visit myphdweightloss.com. You don't need to be a doctor to know that PhD works. myphdweightloss.com. It is hour number 3 of the Matt Murphy Show, starting right now, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Pleased you've decided to join us. Whatever time you give us, we're appreciative of that. Give us some time tonight, and we'll feed you. All you need to do is go find tickets at 997WTN.com for our big event. We've been talking about it, feels like all summer long, and now the date is finally here. Tonight, Hendersonville is the place, the location, J Street Korean Grill and Bar. I'll be there. Pamela Furr will be there. Johnny B will be there. Brian Wilson will be there. Chris Hand, brand new Chris Hand will be there.
I think I'm going to be there for a minute.
Dan Mandis will be there. Who is that voice over there? Is that Mac Morey?
I think it is.
You're coming?
I'm going to be there for a minute. I got to get there, set up, help you guys set up. Yeah.
All right.
What's up to everyone? Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Oh, you're our audio-visual guy, aren't you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
Behind the scenes.
So,
Love
ladies,
that.
if you want a bowl of cougar chow, tonight's the night.
I believe, yes, ladies, Cougar Chow will be available for purchase at the event center. J Street Korean Bar. Don't ask your waiter or waitress. Don't ask your server. Just come up and find me. I'll give you a delicious bit of oil fire whiskey and maybe a little side Cougar Chow.
Wash it down with some Cougar Chow.
Are you? Is that what you're wearing?
Yes, this will be it. This is the fit, man.
Really?
This is what you get.
Uh-huh.
It's a polo. I mean,
yeah, there's no hate speech going on. It's good.
Yeah. No, really, that's what you're wearing? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
all right.
the shorts are short, Matt.
That's cool. What are those little 6-inch inseam, 5-inch?
What Hawaiian shirt are you pulling out tonight? Or?
Oh, see what happens, everybody. Matt lashes, then Mac Morey lashes. Headless Bell gets in the middle of it. Suddenly words are said that can't be taken back. That's how arguments start. It's how divorces happen, really. When we say things that we cannot take back. Well, I take it back. You know what, Morey? What I was going to say before you viciously assaulted me with the claws is that it is of no matter. Because it is my experience that no matter what you wear, you're looking just fine.
Aw, thank you.
Mm-hmm. How about
It'll
that?
be great.
How about that? Well, we'll see you all tonight. Brian is out at 3 o'clock. He'll broadcast his show until 6, and then the rest of us interlopers will get involved at 6 o'clock, and we'll do a broadcast from 6 until 7. And then after 7 o'clock, we're hanging with you. We're enjoying some delicious food and good camaraderie. It's tonight at J Street Korean Grill and Bar. Come on out and see us with Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A concerned parent shared a photo recently with the Tennessee Star. I saw this story earlier in the week. I guess it was actually over the weekend. And wanted to share it with you because I'm quite amazed. Maybe I should not be amazed that this is happening in the Metro Nashville school system, but I am. And no, it is not necessarily the LGBT pride flag, which seems to change on a day-to-day basis. There was a time where it was like a rainbow flag, and then now it's changed in color and shape, and there are different types of, there's a triangle on the end of it, and you've seen how it's been manipulated over the last several years because it has to be all-inclusive. And every time someone feels not included enough or they want to elevate their self-esteem in some form or fashion, they decide that they become a part of a super-duper special exclusivity group. They want to be a minority group it's like nesting dolls. Remember those nesting dolls? I have some of them. It's like they want to be an exclusive minority group inside of an exclusive minority group inside of an exclusive minority group inside of an exclusive minority group. And all of those minority groups are being oppressed by white people. So a concerned parent shared a photo with the Tennessee Star this week, and I noticed the story, thought I would share it with you, depicting an LGBT pride flag at Dan Mills Elementary School in Nashville. The concerned parent indicated that the flag was on display for children as young as 4 years old. The pride flag is emblazoned with the words MNPS for all. Metro Nashville Public School for all. Were it just the flag with that logo on top of the flag, I don't know that I would have that much to say about this. It is what it is. It is the poster that hangs just below the flag that I want to share with you and get your response to. 615-737-9986. Now, at this school, before I share this poster with you, the Dan Mills Elementary School serves about 530 pre-K through fourth grade students, meaning the oldest students are likely to be around 9 years old. The parent who shared the photo said he snapped the picture himself, asked not to be identified by the Tennessee Star, and certainly I wouldn't identify him for privacy reasons. Writing, "The pride flag has been displayed at Dan Mills Elementary since our daughter started in kindergarten. She's now in second grade. Actually, one of the first interactions we had with the school was a virtual tour of sorts. The canned video gave the teacher a few minutes to speak. When the school counselor came on, I was surprised to see the new intersex inclusive LGBT flag in the background. Did not make me feel this was a normal or safe place for my kindergartner." And then the source went on to say, "I personally accept everyone and every lifestyle, but these are adult issues. If a student asks a teacher about one of these posters, are the teachers discussing what gay means or what bisexual means to an 8-year-old? I added the last part. There are potentially 4-year-olds that walk by the sign every day. There is no reason I can think of that this is appropriate for discussion in an elementary school." By the way, Dan Mills Elementary School in Nashville has an LGBT flag. They don't have a resource officer. No, it's perfectly acceptable to suggest that white people are the oppressor. More on that in a moment. It is not acceptable to have a school resource officer within the school because that is, according to Senator Heidi Campbell and others, militarizing our schools. So you've got the flag, and the poster beneath the flag reads as follows, and I had to pull up real tight to see this. I'm going to read this to you, and I will ask you to listen and tell me what groups are not represented in this message. Remember, in order to engage in identity politics, you have to make certain people believe that they are victims. And in order for them to understand that they are victims, they have to understand that they are being oppressed, and there must be an oppressor for them to be oppressed. Okay? Here's the poster. Dear undocumented students, in this classroom, there are no walls. You are loved. Okay, I have to pause right here. That's just factually inaccurate.
The love part or the walls?
The walls. The poster is hanging on a wall.
We have no floor.
You have no brains. So, dear undocumented students, in this classroom, there are no walls. You are loved. Okay. let us all have a nice chuckle at the fact that this was hanging on a wall. Dear black students, your life matters. You are loved. Dear Muslim students and students of Middle Eastern descent, you belong here. You are loved. Dear Latinx students, your culture will be celebrated here. You are loved. Dear female students, you deserve respect. Your body is yours. You are loved. Now get your ass in the bathroom with the boys. Oh, sorry, I added that last part. Dear LGBTQ students, you do not need to change. You are loved. Dear students with disabilities, you are perfect just as you are. You are loved. Dear all students, we will respect each other and learn from one another. You are a beloved part of this country and community. That is the end of the poster. You notice anything missing? So let's go over it again. Dear undocumented students, you're loved. No walls. Dear black students, you're loved. Dear Muslim students, Middle Eastern students, you're loved. Dear Latinx or Latinx students, you're loved. Female students, you're loved. LGBTQ students, you're loved. Students with disabilities, you're loved. And they throw in the obligatory dear all students, you're loved. Oh, I'm sorry, you're not really loved. All students, you're a beloved part of this country and community. So it's not enough that you hang a LGBT flag on the wall in an elementary school. It's not enough that you hang a document separating people based on their color or gender, national origin. When I thought we were to be a great melting pot and a great coming together, you are intentionally excluding white male students. You are making white male Christian students the pariah. And by extension, you're turning these little boys into the oppressors. By implication. If you are an oppressed class, if you need to be reminded that you are loved, that means that there's someone not loving you. I don't hear nothing about the white chillin'. What's wrong with including the white students? Explain to me why you didn't include the white students. I feel like there needs to be someone to defend them. Those white children did nothing. They've done nothing. Yet you exclude them as if they are trash. Nothing about the Asian kids either. What happened to our Asian students? Do we not love our Asian students? Are the Asian students now a part of the oppressors as well? They brought up the Middle Eastern students. Do they mean the Asian students when they're talking about the Middle Eastern students? I don't think so. Why would you create a poster that excludes, oh, and I know what they'll say. Well, Matt, right at the end there it says, Dear all students. But here's the thing. In their attempt to include white kids and Asian kids at the end, they made it worse. So, undocumented students in this classroom, no walls. No, that's just not true. You're loved. Black students, your life matters. You're loved. Muslim students, students of Middle Eastern descent, you belong here. You're loved. Latinx students, your culture is celebrated. You're loved. Female students, you deserve respect. Your body's yours. You're loved. Now go change with boys with penises. LGBTQ students, you're loved. Students with disabilities, you're loved. Dear all students, you will respect each other and learn from one another. You are a beloved part of this country and community. So all of these other minority classes, these victim identity groups, they were told that they're loved. And when we got to all students, they weren't told that they were loved. They were told what to do. They were told that you will respect everyone in this class. Remember, in order for the political left to turn this country into a socialist nation, they must create oppressed identity groups. In order to do that, there has to be an oppressor. And apparently, at this school, at the Dan Mills Elementary School, that oppressor is white kids and Asian kids. Because that's okay. It's okay to... Can you imagine if they excluded black kids? Can you imagine? I thought, was there not a rights movement in this country to stop that? I thought we went to the Supreme Court to stop racial segregation of kids based on the color of one's skin. Oh, Matt, get over it. It's not that big of a deal. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're instilling inside of the minds of young people that white kids are the problem. And you're doing it intentionally. 222 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
President Biden gives an update on the federal government's response to the wildfires in Maui. A quarter pound of meth found inside a quarter-pounder hamburger box, plus some school bus issues around the nation. That and more, 2:30. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Wondering where I left that. It is 2:26, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Okay, I need you two to help me out in advance of our visit with William Lamberth, the House Majority Leader. That's coming up at 2:35 thereabouts, and then we're off to Hendersonville. I know that Brian Wilson's already getting set up to do the drive from 3 until 7, and us interlopers will take in a part of that at 6 o'clock tonight. But I have to do this. I can't get this off my mind until I do it. So the DA in Georgia is named Fannie Willis. Is that correct, McMorey?
That's it.
Fannie Willis.
Fannie.
And since I heard that, I have a joke in my head that my grandfather told me. Probably, I don't know, a year or two before he died. And I want to share it with all of you, because I think you'll get a kick out of it. And unless I do this, I feel like I will not be able to get over it. The woman's name is Fannie. Nothing in the world wrong with that. Okay? So you ready for the joke? You guys ready? Bell?
Let's do it.
You ready? Bell?
I hope.
Headless Bell?
I hope.
Okay. So man and a woman, husband and wife, they're in their car, okay? And they have an accident on the interstate, and they crash and burn. They die. Oh, no. It's a tragedy.
It's very sad.
And they go to heaven, and they meet St. Peter at the pearly gates. And St. Peter says, okay, if you'll follow me here, we're just going to get you in line, get you in the queue. We'll go ahead and, because we have to check off the names, obviously, make sure you're where you're supposed to be. And you might not know this, but if a couple dies together, they get to stay together in line. So you'll be in the couple's line here. And so the couple standing in their couple's line and patiently waiting until they get up where St. Peter has got the big book. And he's looking through the big book, and he's checking off names and allowing people inside. And just before they get up to the front, they hear St. Peter, and St. Peter's talking to another couple. And St. Peter's looking on his list, and he says, I'm very sorry, sir. I can't allow you in. You worshiped money all of your life. He said, you were obsessed with money. As a matter of fact, you loved money so much, you married a woman named Penny. And so he sent him off down the down escalator, And then the next couple comes up, and he's looking over his list. He goes, sir, it's kind of the same story here. I said, I can't allow you in either. He said, instead of, believing in the good book and doing the things you were about, you worshipped liquor all of your life. You were just a taker of strong drink. You loved liquor so much, you married a woman named Brandy. And so the guy that had died with his wife, he looked at her and he said, come on, Fanny, let's get the hell out of here.
It's terrible.
That's my grandpa. I love you, Pa.
That is classic.
Anyway,
Fanny, let's get out.
Come on, Fanny, let's get the hell out of here.
How old were you when he told you that joke?
No, it was, it was pretty late.
He waited.
He waited on that one.
You weren't like 8 or 9.
No,
Okay.
no. I got a lot of them like that when I was 8 or 9. But.
That's good.
Anyway, there you go. That's what I think of every time I see a Fannie Willis, DA, in Fulton County, Georgia. It's 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$2:30, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories right now. 81 degrees and a clear day, and looks like a clear week. No showers, thunderstorms in the forecast this week. Full weather forecast in 2 minutes. President Biden gave an update today on the federal government's response to the devastating wildfires in Maui. Jay O'Brien gives us the latest from the White House.
Before delivering remarks in Wisconsin to tout his economic achievements, the president saying he's been closely monitoring the situation in Hawaii, talking to the state's governor and signing a disaster declaration last week.
Major disaster declaration. That's a fancy word of saying whatever you need, you're going to get.
The president also saying he and the first lady are hoping to visit the island soon, but won't until they know their visit won't pull resources away.
The deadliest wildfire in more than 100 years. A whole city destroyed. Generations of native Hawaiian history turned into ruin.
In Tennessee, News 2 reports that in Putnam County, police found around a quarter pound of methamphetamine inside of a McDonald's quarter pounder hamburger box. 32-year-old Peggy Sue now faces several drug charges after giving officials consent to search the vehicle. Her bond set at $50,000 with a court date set for tomorrow. Students and parents in Kentucky's largest public school district have learned when schools will reopen amid busing problems. Brian Clark.
Middle and elementary school students in Jefferson County, Kentucky will be back in class Friday. High school students will return on Monday. They'll be out for more than a week after first day of school busing problems caused some students not to get dropped off at home until close to 10 o'clock last Wednesday night. The district says one of its solutions will be to have an app, hopefully ready to launch by Friday, that will allow parents to know where a bus is located.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and when it comes to your home, it, for most of us, is the largest singular purchase that we're going to make in our lives, and you need to protect that purchase. And if your foundation isn't what it should be, it's time to call USS because they guarantee their best. USS has been helping people just like you since 1994. Make sure that everything that you live on is of sound structural foundation. They are a foundation repair and waterproofing company serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Northern Alabama since 1994. If you find moisture in your home, that could be the result of a problem with your waterproofing. If you find step cracks in your home, if you find that your walls are bowing or you get cracks in your brick, that might be a sign of foundation repair problems. And if you have those, they simply will not go away. You need to get analysis from the experts at USS. Plus, I don't mention enough, the concrete leveling, the polylift system is incredible. It can lift your driveway back into its original position. If you find it sinking and there's erosion beneath, it can find itself back in place. They'll get it sealed up, and you don't have to rip out the concrete and start again. So call USS. They guarantee their best. USS. You'll find them at USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or give them a call at 615-288-7855. 288-7855. USS. They guarantee their best. Don't forget, tomorrow on the show, we'll have Nashville mayoral candidate Alice Rowley with us. We've asked Freddie O'Connell to stop by as well, anticipating a response from him. He was on during the, during the first round of the election cycle. We could not find an individual that got 50% plus one, so we have the runoff between Alice Rowley and Freddie O'Connell. But Alice will be with us tomorrow. She let one of her staffers go because she found a connection with said staffer and an organization called the Proud Boys. She did not wish for that association to mar her efforts to become the next mayor of Nashville, and so she let that person go. She let another guy go because he put hands on me. But those weren't the same guy, by the way. There was some confusion. Some of you were asking me if that was the same dude that laid his paws on me, and no, that's not true.
Did Pence's guy come after you yet?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
I'm waiting. In the meantime, we are waiting for the special session of the Tennessee General Assembly, and toward that end, we have invited a number of those in charge of these types of events on with us, to include House Majority Leader William Lamberth. He joins us on the Matt Murphy hotline to talk about the special session that's coming up and some of the pre-filed bills there. And before we get started with that, William, I want to tell you what an honor and a pleasure it was to get an opportunity not just to see you, but to talk with you in Hendersonville at the library last weekend. It was just a great event, a great time, and it was good to get to see you.
Well, Matt, it was great to see you as well. Thank you for coming up to Sumner County. Here in God's country, we value people's First Amendment rights, and our libraries will always welcome Kirk Cameron and Riley Gaines anytime they want to come and share some wisdom and some truth with some of our kids here.
I saw more people taking pictures with William Lamberth than I saw him taking pictures with Kirk Cameron. I'm just saying. I'm telling you what I saw, William.
It's because Kirk was up front and busy, and I was in the back hanging out with my folks. That's it. That's the only reason you saw that. But it was a great event and just a good movement out there that really shouldn't even be necessary. But to just, love on these kids for who they are and share with them, just the truth about kind of some of the stuff that's going out there in the world, and do so in a way that kids can get. And I think kids are smarter than we give them credit to. And I know that the kids were there at the Hendersonville Library sure loved meeting Riley and Kirk. And, I mean, it was a cool event.
No question. Don't forget about River, the dog with no eyes. River was a big hit.
I know.
Oh, so good.
Look, that's not even playing fair when you bring an adorable dog to an event that happens to also be blind and have a phenomenal personality. That's the reason you and I were standing in the back and everybody else just ignored us.
That's exactly right. Let me ask you broadly on the issue of the special session. It seems sometimes I find that conservative or libertarian types even, we can't help but fight amongst ourselves instead of pointing our efforts toward what I consider to be the real enemy and those that want to change our nation into a socialist state. And I think that those entities are out there. I think that there are some entities in the General Assembly that would take away our Second Amendment rights. However, sadly, I see a lot of conservative commentators in Nashville and the surrounding communities claiming that William Lamberth and Jack Johnson are in with Governor Bill Lee and many others, along with Cameron Sexton, and they are trying to get these red flag laws backdoored as many times as we can say it. I know the governor included an order of protection in his call, but would you mind saying it one more time, William, for those in the back that maybe haven't heard it? Are red flag laws going to pass this special session?
No, absolutely not. And Matt, I don't have to tell you that and just verbally say it. I believe that actions speak louder than words. And one of the Democrats out of Nashville filed a red flag bill at the end of regular session, a 100% through and through deep red flag law. And I'm against red flag laws of any shade, but this particular representative brought that red flag law to the Delayed Bills Committee. It needs a unanimous vote to get out of your Delayed Bills Committee. I voted no, and the bill stopped right there and didn't go a bit further. I think red flag laws are bad policy. They are ex parte proceedings that take away your rights and your property, and you have no ability or even notice to participate in that process. I can tell you as an attorney, that flies in the face of just everything that I've been taught about our judicial system, which should be confrontational by nature. You should be given an opportunity to be heard whenever your rights are on the line. And so talked about that with the governor. Jack and I have been crystal clear that as the voices of our caucuses, that simply is not something we're going to pass in Tennessee. What we can do is deal with the fact that there is way too much violent crime in our state. 346 murders in Memphis year before last. 31 of them were children. Almost 100 murders a year in Nashville, 6 of which we know happened at the Covenant School. There are too many violent crimes. There are too many crazy folks out there that need help, that need inpatient help many times, and there are too many violent felons that are out on our streets. Those are issues we've been trying to address, and I hope we work on more in the special session.
Well, and obviously it remains to be seen how many bills will be filed consistent with the call by the governor. But do you expect, A, any Republicans to file any sort of order of protection bill, and B, do you expect that it would come from the Democrats, if not a Republican? Because I understand that the distinction the governor has made in these two issues, but for most of us, it is, as you put it, William, kind of a shade of a red flag law, if not a red flag law itself.
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone will file it. I mean, a mental health protection order, again, a type of red flag law, is included within the call. The governor left that out there as an option if somebody wants to. I know that neither myself nor Jack Johnson, who's a real conservative champion in the Senate and a good friend of mine for a long time, fought the income tax back in the day, as you'll recall. Neither one of us are going to file it. It's not going to be an administration bill. The governor won't ask us to file that. So if someone else files it, we will deal with it through the committee process. And I'm sure, just like in the delayed bills committee, that it will not be successful. But there's going to be several other bills, many of which will be filed today and some of which have already been filed, that will go at the heart of what I mentioned a while ago, making Tennessee safer after the special session than we were beforehand, and still absolutely fighting to preserve and improve and increase all of our civil liberties. We've been doing that for over a decade now, serving you as a majority and now a supermajority Republican legislature, and we can still continue to do that in the special session, and will.
House Majority Leader William Lamberth with us. Before I get to some specifics on a few of the bills that have been pre-filed, just broadly, there's also been a suggestion that this didn't necessarily need to happen. Now, I know it's not your call, William. It is the governor's call, obviously. Do you support the idea of having the special session to build a case for better public safety in the state of Tennessee outside of the regular session? And why do you feel like because the governor has said to me that he feels like we deal with this now in advance of schools getting really up and running. I know schools are back in session, and that will clean the slate for a good January general session. Do you share that analysis?
So I serve in the legislature. I serve the people of my district, and the governor is elected to be just that, the governor. And I'm a constitutional Republican. I'm a constitutionalist. I believe that the words on the page mean something. And the Constitution of the great state of Tennessee allows the governor to call us into special session for extraordinary issues. And anytime we are talking about public safety, obviously that's extraordinary. I am certain that there are many of these ideas that could wait until January, but the governor has called us into special session. That is his right as the governor. Anytime we're in Nashville, anytime that I am down there, I am going to fight for our conservative values here in Sumner County and throughout the state of Tennessee. And I am going to, at every opportunity, try to put forth good policy options and ideas for my colleagues to consider potentially voting for, to get it to the governor's desk for him to sign or not. Whether or not to have a special session is an interesting debate that folks can have, but we are having one. The governor has called us into special session next Monday at 4 o'clock, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to do my duty. I'm going to do that boldly. I'm going to do that in the way that I've done it for 11 years now, and I'm going to try to get the best ideas across the finish line. That's just the reality of where we are.
Let's delve in the few minutes that we have left into a couple of these bills in specifics. House Bill 7007 is probably one of the more controversial bills that you will file. I don't know if you would agree with that or not. It's called the Child Victims Privacy Act. It is, according to your press release, a bill that would protect sensitive county medical examiner and autopsy reports of minor children who are victims of violent crime. Explain to me how this would not be a matter of public record, or why should we protect some of this information from the public?
Yeah, thank you for asking about that one, Matt. So when a child is murdered, and I spent 7 years as an assistant district attorney, and I have walked this journey with many families that have lost loved ones to violent crime, it is heart-wrenching. It is a pain that none of us that have not experienced that firsthand can ever understand, and I hope none of you ever do. But those families, there are many things. Just as their wounds begin to heal, they can rip those scars wide open. And one of those is the fact that the autopsy results of their children, of murdered children, are public record now. So I've heard from some of the families that have lost loved ones to violent crime in Tennessee, and who just recently have been notified that the autopsies of their children have been requested. And so I filed this bill for consideration by my colleagues to say, look, what possible usage could it be for a child's autopsy to be public record? Now, we put in lots of exceptions for lawsuits and criminal investigations, and even put a catch-all in that if for good cause shown, the judge can just open it up if someone petitions. But for just anybody to walk down and just on their own morbid curiosity to pull some dead child's autopsy, to me seems ridiculous.
Then why not make it a law for everyone? Why make it just for children? Why not make it for all Tennesseans?
Good question. So we wanted to, in this instance, I wanted to draft this bill specifically dealing with minors, because that is, in my view, a minor's medical information. And I, as a parent or guardian, it's my job to protect my child's privacy. Now, once someone is an adult, and that's a whole different story once they've reached the age of 18. But for a child, I want to put the power in the parent's hands, because that's the other thing that's a part of this bill. If a parent or guardian decides that information should be public, they can do so, no problem. But the power is in their hands.
You understand why some are looking at this and suggesting that this is William Lamberth attempting to shield the manifesto from Covenant School from the public. You can understand why we would put those two things together, don't you?
No, not even remotely, because I've spent months saying
you want me to explain? I'm happy to explain it to you, William, if you want me to, because then why are you excluding the victims of violent crime that are adults? Why are you creating a specific category for children? And you mentioned that people had come to you and talked to you about this. Are you telling me that none of those people were involved in the Covenant School shooting?
I'm not going to say that, but what I am going to say is one of the reasons, again, that we limited this to children that are victims of violent crime is I think every single aspect of the Covenant shooter's life should be analyzed by all of us. I think her writings, minus just some redactions for security, like drawings of the school or her plans, very specific things.
Yeah.
But everything else about this should be out there for all of us to look at, every Tennessean and experts throughout the country, to say, look, what type of evil was exactly wrong with her? Why did she do this? How did she do this? And how do we prevent it from ever happening again? That includes her medical records, her autopsy. Everything about that shooter should be out there. But the children she killed, to me, there's an ocean of difference between those little innocent lives and this evil, evil woman that took their life.
No question. And if there was any suggestion within my question that I was comparing the two, I am not. I assure you I am not. But I do value and protect the public's right to know what government installations and entities are doing. And, whether we like it or not, law enforcement investigations are a part of the public record, and I believe should be kept a part of the public record. And we can disagree on this one. I think you'll get a lot of support on it.
I don't disagree with you. I actually agree with you on that. It is just the autopsy of those children that this bill deals with. The entire rest of the file, this doesn't touch.
Okay. All right, very good. Other than that, I know you've pre-filed 7002, 7003, 7004, and these have to do with one is an important bill, and in the moments that we have left, I want to address this one specifically. You and I talked about it in Hendersonville, and that is the fire alarm bill, which does directly relate to some of the activities that we've heard about in the Covenant School situation, in as much as children are trained, rightly so, to react. Teachers are trained to react to fire alarms, and sadly, the evil individuals that would commit an act like Covenant School have learned that and are using it against our children. Talk to me about 7002.
Matt, you said it and said it better than I can. That's, we have become almost kind of hardwired in that when a fire alarm goes off, okay, get the kids lined up, get them out in the hallway, get them out of the school. But that fire alarm going off can mean that there's an active shooter in the building. It can mean there's an inclement weather, tornado or something that's going on. It can mean there's a bomb threat. It can mean many different things. And this bill requires every single school district in the state to train their teachers, their students, their staff, their substitute teachers to differentiate between those different disasters and issues when they hear a fire alarm. And there's lots of ways to do that, but this came from conversations that I had with our local law enforcement folks right here in Sumner County, and they have a system similar to this. Where they can very quickly. And so then we started talking with the Department of Education and Safety and Commerce and Insurance, Fire Marshal, to say, look, how can this be, done well so that a teacher gets the information that they know to be able to help keep their children safe.
And in the moments we have left, William, are you concerned at all about security? I know you have every faith in the world. I do as well, with the state troopers of the great state of Tennessee to protect you and to protect those that come to the Capitol building to watch the government proceedings go on. Are you confident that we're prepared?
I am. I have the utmost confidence in the Commissioner of Safety. I have confidence in our local law enforcement folks. Look, everyone is welcome at the Capitol. When your government is working for you, I want folks tuned in online. I want folks present. I want folks there to address us in committee and share your feelings with us, phone, email, text, whatever, or in person. But if someone comes downtown during the special session and they commit a crime, if they're up to no good, I hope they like eating jail food, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to go to jail. We don't put up with that kind of crap in Tennessee. We're not going to put up with it during special session or any other time. That Capitol needs to be safe for you. It needs to be safe for us. It needs to be safe for every Tennessean, because it belongs to you. When we went through the riots and protests and everything else from a couple of years ago, THP did a very good job of keeping that Capitol secure and safe and operating well. And I'm confident they will do that again. Matt, I want one quick just personal privilege here. There's a guy named Ralph Story that's been listening to you for years. I want to give Ralph a shout-out. He raised a fantastic young lady who works at our office in the legislature. And so, Ralph, quick shout-out to you.
Well, there you go. I love that. I love that ending the interview, too, William. Thank you for everything. Thank you for spending some time with us today. We look forward to another conversation down the road, and best of luck as the special gets underway this Monday.
Matt, thank you, and thanks for everything you do every day, man. We all appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you as well. There's William Lamberth, the House Majority Leader, for a few good moments. And that leads us right into Brian Wilson in the Drive live in Hendersonville. And we'll see you tonight at the J Street Korean Grill and Bar for the big Super Talk event. We'll see you then, starting at 6 o'clock this evening. Until then, so long. It can be hard to find someone you trust when it comes to large home repairs. That includes your air conditioner. Well, you need it now more than ever, right? We've gotten a slight respite from the big heat. But the big heat is coming back this weekend. I saw temperatures 92, 93 degrees. If your AC is not cooling properly, let's call Jeff Eddy in Efficient Heating and Cooling, and let's get it done. If you're sweaty, call Jeff Eddy. Jeff Eddy, Efficient Heating and Cooling, wants to send a technician out to you. They're never going to try to upsell you on product that you don't need. But if it is time to replace, well, they offer free financing on your next unit, and they're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric if you want to go that route, an Elite Pro partner with Rheem if you want to go that way. Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling will never overcharge you either. As a matter of fact, they don't charge overtime rates. How about that? That's kind of unique, right? They don't charge overtime because they know your AC doesn't know what time it is when it goes kaput. So give them a call today. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Go to efficienthvac.net online, efficienthvac.net, or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient.